lot of President Trump supporters here.
Greatest movement in the history of our country. I'm fighting for you, and I love doing it with everything that I have. And I will never, ever stop. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will make America great again.
Welcome to Team Trump Online.
I'm running for re-election to keep jobs at home, to put violent criminals behind bars, and to ensure the future belongs to America, not to China and other countries. If Biden wins, China wins. It's as simple as that. If we win, America wins. You know that. You've seen that. We built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And now we are very simply, we're doing it again, and we're on track to have the best year we've ever had next year. And I've spent the last 4 years bringing jobs back to our country. We never had so many jobs. Never forget, they're coming after me because I'm fighting for you. And they know my policies will lift America to new heights of national greatness like we've never seen before. And we will make America great again.
Wednesday just got better because the ladies are live, discussing the hottest topics of the week with you tonight.
And we will make America great again.
Hey everybody, I'm Lara Trump and welcome to The Right View. With me as always are some of my favorite ladies, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Katrina Pierson, and Mercedes Schlapp. All right, ladies, we are in it. We are full steam ahead to November 3rd. And you know we're in campaign season because President Trump and the campaign are on the road. We are crisscrossing the country. Over the last 2 weeks, President Trump visited states like North Carolina, Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's campaign called it quits for the day at around 10 a.m. over the weekend. So, Katrina, what are we seeing out on the campaign trail? What have you seen happening?
Look, we are seeing, Laura, a reflection of each candidate in their staff. I mean, we are all over the country, and what we're seeing out on the campaign trail is that now that we're entering the home stretch, the momentum is absolutely growing, and the gaps in the polls are closing and all but eliminated in some of the swing states. The ads are running, the buses are on tour, and the president is statistically tied in some of these swing states or even ahead. His support among Black and Hispanic voters are increasingly rising on a high trajectory, which I'm so excited about. And more importantly, the rallies are back. Thousands of people have been peacefully protesting all across the country as President Trump visits the campaign trail in the states. And it's been such a great sight to see the president leading our nation back to normalcy, if that is a thing anymore. But America is definitely showing it is ready to re-elect the people's president, and it's been great to watch.
Well, Joe Biden is totally clueless about his minimal travel schedule. Let's watch this embarrassing clip.
You guys voted early today?
Because I'm going to be in, who am I tomorrow?
Florida.
Traveling tomorrow.
Do you encourage people to vote early if they can?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Where am I going to be? Guys, where are we right now? What? Kimberly, does that look like a candidate capable of serving as president of the United States?
No, it's seriously frightening. I mean, it would be sad if it wasn't so serious, right? Because this is someone we're supposed to trust with the nuclear codes. I mean, are you joking? Not a chance. Okay, he'll think he's playing bingo or something. He's like B6. But it's not just that he struggles to remember basic facts. Honestly, the thing is that is most frightening and terrifying is that he has embraced a radical agenda that would completely destroy this country. A $4 trillion tax hike on working class Americans and small business. It would absolutely devastate the economy and ruin this incredible American comeback, the recovery that we are just propelling forward on right now. And his disastrous energy policy would bring the rolling blackout that residents in California are suffering from on a daily basis to the rest of the country. And it's not that Joe Biden isn't always there. It's that when he is even coherent, his ideas would be disastrous for the country. The platform that he has adopted would be disastrous for the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's really scary stuff. You're right. If it weren't so serious, it would actually be funny. But the reality is, I mean, this guy has no clue. It seems like his campaign has no clue because he is still staying at home. He's still down in the basement. Very, very infrequently is he coming out and squirreling out. We're trying to smoke him out a little bit. But speaking of travel, our Women for Trump, our Women for Trump bus tour will be in Florida this week. Mercedes, what does our itinerary look like? Tell the people at home, where can they see us?
I think you and Katrina are kicking this whole thing off with Pam Bondi and our great Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez down in Florida. It is literally going around that peninsula from Jacksonville, St. Augustine, all the way down to Miami, Florida. I'll be joining you all there, and then heading through Fort Myers, back to ending in Sarasota and Tampa. It is going to be, as you all know, it just never, it's like 20 million events in one day. But, you know, the reason why we do this is that it's our opportunity to thank our volunteers who are tirelessly working day in and day out to make phone calls, to knock on doors. We've already made, as a campaign, 100 million voter contacts. That's 3 times the amount that we've made in 2016. But let me tell you, it's organic. And, you know, we're all out there traveling, and it's people who seriously go knock on doors every single day. They're making phone calls. They're relentless. They're like, we have to ensure that we get President Trump reelected. And, you know, and it goes beyond even, you know, the boat parades, which we all love, that I know Kimberly's been part of. And also we call them the caravanas, the caravans down in Florida, where they're, you know, these are, you know, hundreds of cars going out there with the Trump flag. It just shows the enthusiasm for this president. I've been in politics we've been in politics for a long time. I've never seen this before in political history. And I have to say that it just shows that we're on the right track to win. But we also have to remember we've got early voting started. It started in North Carolina. It's going to start up in states like Florida and Arizona. And it's important to vote early so we don't wait till the last minute to get our votes counted and get them in when they count.
You got that right. All right, ladies, let's take one quick commercial break. Stay right where you are at home. We'll be back with more of The Right View.
Seattle's pledge to defund its police department by 50%, even including a proposal to remove 911 dispatchers from police control.
Joe Biden said he's absolutely on board with defunding the police. Listen closely.
Yes, absolutely.
Hello, you've reached 911. I'm sorry that there is no one here to answer your emergency call, but leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Crime will rise significantly.
Joining us now is KT McFarland, former Deputy National Security Advisor for President Trump and author of Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. KT, thank you so much for joining us today. And I first want to congratulate your daughter for winning the GOP nomination in her race for Florida State House. That must be unbelievably exciting for you and your family. And I'm super excited. We've got an amazing patriot that's going to be able to crush it for us in D.C.
Well, you're so great to do that. And thank you for all the support you've given Fiona. She's going to flip a district that has historically been Republican, went Democrat in 2018, and she's going to flip it back this time around. And particularly with the support of people like you you ladies and all the people in the Trump campaign. So I really, Kim, especially thank you a lot for this.
Absolutely. I've been a big fan of Fearless Fiona for many years. So I'm very excited
for a
to
long
see what's
time.
happened here.
Exactly.
So I'm psyched. It actually, it's inspirational. I like our odds now, right? Okay, so President Trump recently brokered two historic peace agreements, one between Israel and the UAE, and the second between Israel and Bahrain. Now, UAE and Bahrain are the first Arab nations to normalize relations with Israel in more than 25 years. Just absorb the significance of that. So, Katie, for those watching at home who aren't foreign policy experts, can you explain just how historic this is?
Look, this is not just something that happens every now and then. This is something that hasn't happened for thousands of years. And the significance, you cannot overstate how significant this is. First of all, President Trump, when he came into office, everybody's wanted to try to get Israeli-Palestinian, Israeli-Arab peace for decades, and nobody's been able to do it. But President Trump understood, if you do the same thing over and over again, don't expect a different outcome. So he had to do something really different. And he's worked what's called the outside-in strategy by going to the bankers of the Middle East. And that's who he started with, the Sunni Arabs, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, other countries will follow in the weeks ahead. He has crafted with them a peace agreement between them and Israel. So not only is it going to be good for the region, in other words, peace is going to, in the region, all of these countries can then proceed with economics, they can proceed with social development in their own countries, modernization, their societies, of their economies, but it's particularly good for the United States. Anybody notice lately why gas prices are so low? Well, part of it is energy independence that President Trump it was his policy from the very beginning. Energy independence drove the price of oil down. We have less money that they're taking out of our pockets. But the other thing is for 20 years, we have fought wars in the Middle East to guarantee the supply of oil and to deal with terrorists. In one swoop, President Trump not only guarantees the supply of oil, but he also has cut the knees out from under the people who support terrorism in the Middle East. This is a historic agreement, and in addition to finally, it isolates Iran. And it is such a contrast with what the Biden administration would do if Biden were president. He'd go right back to Iran. He would undo this deal, which is good for the Middle East, for Jews, for Arabs, and particularly for Americans.
I mean, KT, this is, as you're saying, so historic. You just laid out so well why it's so historic. But you wouldn't even know that this peace agreement occurred if you tuned in to mainstream news, because there's been little to no coverage of it. How much of a disservice really is this to the American people? Shouldn't this be lauded for what it is? And by the way, how would the mainstream media have covered this if this was a Democrat president? What are your thoughts?
Look, Nancy Pelosi, when asked about this historic agreement, she said, oh, it's a distraction. A distraction from what?
Unbelievable.
A distraction from Trump bashing? Look, this is so good for the American people. It is so good for the people in the region that the media, the anti-Trump media, the people who really don't care about the welfare of the American people as long as they get to trash President Trump, they're doing such a disservice to the nation. We have spent trillions of dollars fighting wars in the Middle East. We have lost tens of thousands of American lives. People's lives have been shattered. Why? Because we didn't have peace in the Middle East. He is taking us down a very different road. Eventually, I think within a couple of weeks, other countries will join this peace agreement. It will change the entire landscape of the region. And for the mainstream media to just say, oh, it doesn't matter, or for Nancy Pelosi to say it's a distraction, really? Well, when you guys were in charge, where was Middle East peace? It went no place. Thank goodness President Trump had a very different approach. And he's a deal guy. Look, he knows how to do deals. And he's just done one of the most historic deals of the last 100 years.
And to your point, KT, President Trump mentioned that there is more to come. But let me tell you something. The critics are going crazy right now because President Trump was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, everyone, let's a round of applause for our.
Oh, but it's even better. Not only once, but he's been nominated twice.
Exactly.
Heads are exploding.
Two scoops and 2 nominations. That's what he's all about. 2. Everybody knows it.
That's exactly right. So how deserving is President Trump of this award if Barack Obama got it for actually doing nothing?
Yeah. You know, I mean, if there's any justice in the world, and who knows, this is silly season in America, it's silly season in Europe. This should be a slam dunk for President Trump. I mean, he's tried a very different approach. And, you know, here's the thing that makes me so frustrated, that President Trump set out from the very beginning. He knew exactly what he was going to do by making the United States energy independent and by driving down the price of oil. What did that do to the Middle East? The Arab nations no longer had leverage over us. And in addition, by lower prices of oil, all they do is export oil. When they realized that they were not going to be able to rely on revenues from high oil prices, they realized that, oh gosh, we have to modernize economies. We can't rely on exported oil. We've got to do something. So all of a sudden, it flipped the Gulf Arabs from being antagonistic to really needing peace in the Middle East. And then the other thing was that because of Jared Kushner's personal relationship and President Trump's personal relationship with the Israeli prime minister, and by moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, that was a signal to the Israelis, we've got your back. It gave them the political breathing space they needed to craft a deal. And then the other thing was that President Trump, one of the first things he did was invite the younger generation of Arab leaders to the White House, and they've made a connection with them. These are the young men, mostly men, who understand and are comfortable with modernizing their societies and their economies. This was not something that fell off a turnip truck, okay? This was a very carefully, step-by-step calculated negotiation. And President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, not once, not twice, but who knows? I mean, there's going to be so much more that follows. This will be a stampede of countries in the Middle East trying to make peace with Israel. Why? Because their economies are going to thrive as a result of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, KT, the history books will show that President Trump was truly a remarkable president in our time. And, you know, shifting gears from peace abroad, let's talk about peace at home, because we'd be remiss if we didn't take a moment to talk about one of the most horrific examples of left-wing violence towards law enforcement that occurred over the weekend in California. Let's watch this horrific clip. Now, we, along with President Trump, stand proudly with the men and women of law enforcement. Joe Biden and the Democrats demonize them to appeal his radical base. KT, what do you make of that clip, and what is truly at stake for this election here at home?
Look, I've known Joe Biden for 40, probably 50 years, and he's a really nice guy, but he's not a strong leader. He's not a strong man, and we need a strong leader right now, not only to stand up to our adversaries abroad, but to people at home who would wreck American society. And Joe Biden just isn't that man. That's why I'm supporting President Trump as enthusiastically as I can. The one thing you got to say about him, he's one tough guy. And right now, America needs somebody with a real spine who's got the courage to call it out the way it is and to fix it.
Absolutely. And KT, before we go to commercial break, would you tell our viewers about your book, Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People?
Oh, you're sweet to ask, Kim. Okay, it's written in 3 parts. And the first is why I, a traditional foreign policy establishment Republican, broke with the establishment of the Republican Party to support President Trump. And then the second part is how we set up the administration, how we came up with the ideas of America first and make America great again and peace through strength. And then the final part is it's an ode to America, that I think we're going through a political revolution right now. And we go through them every 40 or so years and we reinvent ourselves. And they're always nasty when we go through them. And people are screaming and shouting at each other. But at the end, this is the greatness of America. We reinvent ourselves as a nation, just as we do as individuals. So even though we're going through tough times right now, I see really great times ahead.
Absolutely. And we can't thank you enough. KT McFarland, an inspirational, strong, patriotic woman, tremendous service to this country. who supports President Trump. Thanks so much for being with us today. All the best to Fiona. We'll be seeing you soon. All right.
Okay, thank you so much, ladies. Hey, this is like being on The View, except with nice ladies.
Exactly. There you go. That's the idea. And with that, we'll be right back after this short commercial break. More with The Right View.
The radical left-wing mob's agenda? Take over our cities, defund the police, pressure more towns to follow, and Joe Biden stands with them. Cutting police funding.
Yes, absolutely.
Eliminating cash bail, letting criminals back on the street, violent crime exploding, innocent children fatally shot. Who will be there to answer the call when your children aren't safe?
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
We turn now to that $350 billion fund to help small businesses and its workers get through the shutdown.
It will be up to Congress to restock it.
But Democrats blocking that move this morning.
They asked for $250 billion in 48 hours. I said, well, I don't think so. They objected, and I congratulate the Senate Democrats.
Speaker Pelosi, what are you going to share with us from your home?
Chocolate candy.
Thousands have been forced to wait for hours at food banks all across the country.
This is
oh my
chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here. We just got it restocked with the ice cream.
You don't want to eat up everything all at one time.
I can't do it much longer. I'm trying so hard.
We're, shall we say, enjoying.
Having to admit that, yeah, we're starving, and
I like it better than anything else.
Taping this segment, there are 22 million people out of work.
This specific program is about stopping job losses today.
This is hurting people bad.
Other people in our family look for some other flavors, but
right now it's survival move. You don't know where that next something else is going to come from.
I don't know what I would have done if ice cream were not invented. I just wonder.
And welcome back to The Right View. I'm Katrina Pierson, and with less than 50 days to go, we are seeing the presidential election tighten up. I mentioned some key turning points earlier, Laura, but what do you attribute to this huge swing in momentum behind President Trump?
Well, I think there has always been momentum behind President Trump. I mean, from the moment he came down the golden escalator in 2015, this was a guy that was unlike any person we'd ever seen run for president, and he resonated with people. So now I tend to think, and I say this to people all the time, look, the people that voted for President Trump in 2016 are still there, but we've brought so many people on board. I can't tell you guys a number of places, and I'm sure you hear it too, that I go, whether it's on an airplane, in airports, restaurants, coffee shops, and it used to be in 2016 that people would come up to me and whisper, you know, we're voting for Donald Trump. Now what they're doing is people are coming up to me and they're saying, I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016, but I've seen what he's been able to do, and now I know what fake news is. Now I know that I was totally hoodwinked and bamboozled by the mainstream media. So now I'm voting for him in 2020 because he's getting the job done. And I think that our campaign, I have to give us a little bit of credit, ladies, we've done a really good job with explaining to people what is truly at stake in this election. As we head towards November 3rd, this is not just another election year where, okay, well, if the person that I didn't want to win wins, if Joe Biden wins, it won't be that bad. It will be that bad. We have told people that what we're facing is socialism. They want to implement socialism in the United States of America. So I really think the more people are realizing what is at stake and the way that our lives would be changed forever. And by the way, once you lose your freedoms, you don't just get them back. You have to fight for those to keep them, and that's exactly what we're doing every single day. So I think people are realizing it. They're understanding how important this election is. People are registering to vote. They're getting their friends registered to vote. They're early voting. They're sending in absentee ballots if they don't feel comfortable going to a polling location. So we're seeing a lot of excited people out there, and quite frankly, people just want to get back to normal. And we know between the two candidates who is going to deliver that. It's President Donald Trump.
Yeah, you know, amen to that. And you mentioned the campaign, and you know, the ability to penetrate through the fake news media, you know, was truly a feat. We have our online programs who receive more views than some MSNBC programs. So I think you're right. We should take some credit for that, because we are also out there working hard to make sure that Americans get what they deserve. And that is the truth for a change. And, you know, mentioning the campaign, Laura, advertising is up 50% this week alone, and we're expanding local buys in Arizona, Pennsylvania, and entering new markets with advertising in Spanish as well, Mercedes. So the polls are interesting, at least to me at this cycle, looking at 2016, because Joe Biden's lead in some of the key swing states essentially evaporated after the two conventions when Americans were able to see both candidates without the media filters. And when I read that Black voters were admitting to pollsters in Pennsylvania by 27%, they were supporting Trump, I knew Sleepy Joe was going to be exiting that basement. But it's not just Black voters. Can you talk about President Trump's support, a growing support among Hispanic voters as well?
Well, I got to tell you, when Biden's campaign and one of his advisors named Bernie Sanders is saying, we have a lot of work to do with the Latino community, they're even recognizing that they're failing in terms of their Latino outreach. In fact, in Florida, you had several field organizers of the Democrat Party saying that the Biden campaign was suppressing the Hispanic vote and mistreating the staff. And here you go. The Trump campaign has been very much on offense, very aggressive, willing to reach out directly to the Latino community. We've opened up 16 Latino community centers. I just saw the first one in Arizona. It literally brought tears to my eyes because we had talked about this concept of having a place for Latinos to come together so that they can organize, knock door to door, make phone calls. And what you're seeing is the fruits of our labor and really in action. But it's because there's two big things here. One is that the economy is the defining issue of this campaign. It is a defining issue of this election, which is why Latinos understand that for economic prosperity and opportunity, we need President Donald Trump to stay in office. And secondly, as Lara mentioned, is this concept of socialism, which for many, many Latinos who fled their homeland, like my father, wanted to come to America to live the American dream, not to be brought down by the failed experiment of socialism, which is, in other words, government control of your life. And they get that, they see that. It's why you're seeing such a positive reaction from Latinos. They view Joe Biden as weak. They view him as selling out to the socialist branch of his party. And I think we're starting to see the benefits. And the benefits clearly are that the polls are shifting in our direction when it comes to Latinos. And I got to tell you, we are nonstop. We go on Spanish TV, we go on Spanish radio, locally and nationally. We're up with our ads. We're constantly talking directly to the American people and to the Latino community. And I really think we're seeing inroads. And I just think that Biden is on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited we're all going to be in Florida this week when we see the numbers coming out of there. It's just been truly remarkable. But I want to watch this video that really highlights the historic enthusiasm behind President Trump and the campaign. Let's take a look. Okay, Kimberly, you are everywhere. And I mean everywhere, whether it's red states, blue states, purple states. You probably have the most comprehensive feel for the excitement out there. How much of an enthusiasm advantage does President Trump have over Joe Biden?
Yeah, it's super exciting to see, and it just goes to show you how dishonest the media is. President Trump talks about it at the rallies, and everyone's like, yeah, they clap. It's really true, because the enthusiasm for this president is over the top. It's like rock star status, okay? It's like, the Rolling Stones meets the Beatles meets Elvis. They love him. And I saw it when I spoke at the pre-program rally in Vegas, which was incredible, which they tried to shut us down, but we had some amazing donors that volunteered and gave their space so that we could actually get out there and support the president. And last night, Don Jr. and I spoke at one of our campaign Make America Great Again events, and it was a barge floating in the middle of a marina, and we had about 2,000 people in Macomb and Michigan, and it was absolutely amazing in that county. And Kid Rock performed, okay, so talk about rock stars. And if that doesn't scream enthusiasm, people were going nuts. They had their boats there. We had people lined up all in the parking lot. It was all the way down for blocks and blocks and blocks. So I was really excited about it. And it just goes to show you, these are in all states across in Wisconsin now, and people are just lined up. They're so excited because they love this president and they get the difference and the choice, you know, that we have on November 3rd. And it is a very clear choice. And they're really appreciative, so appreciative deeply of all the work that the president is doing. And there is no enthusiasm for Joe Biden. Like a rally for him is like 2.5 people like show up and they're like, ah. You know what I mean?
And that's the staff.
That looked like, by the way, that clip literally looked like field day at my elementary school when they let all the kids like go out and like just run. Like it was amazing. But Kim, you're so right. If there is the two people who are excited about Joe Biden running for president, because let's be clear, he still doesn't really know that he's running for president. Jill Biden and probably Hunter Biden are the two excited. Right. Other than that, nobody else even cares. It's kind of sad. I feel sorry for him.
Hey, Laura. Think about it. Because with Biden, what is there to be excited about? What is his platform? No, I mean, take your jobs, raise your taxes, $4 trillion in new taxes. The list goes on and on. Americans are so fired up about this election, and it's so clear we're on the campaign trail. I'm telling you, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, sisters. 4 more years.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I mean, it's kind of sad. I still am unclear what Joe Biden's campaign platform is. I mean, going backwards, negative, hate, anger. I mean, it's just not a winning platform.
Slogan, is it build better butter? What is the slogan? I can't remember. What is
it?
I
can't believe it's not butter.
Something, build back, build something. I mean, like, honestly, it'd be building back what he broke over the last 47 years. Which
no, President Trump did that in 47 months, but that's okay.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right. But to the point here, there are so many people, to Kimberly's point, who know that there is a very important choice coming up. And that's why the campaign has more than 2 million volunteers making phone calls, knocking on doors. Laura, how much of an advantage does this give us over Joe Biden in the terms of a ground game?
Well, we have the biggest ground game in the history of the Republican Party right now. We never shut down our campaign, right? So on Inauguration Day for President Trump in 2017, he was very clear, I don't want the campaign to shut down, which is unusual. That really doesn't happen. Once a president takes office, they say, oh, no more campaign, I'm done. Not President Trump, because he understood very clearly that what we had here wasn't just a traditional campaign. This was a movement within our country. It was a political movement. It was historic, and he didn't want to turn his back on all of the people who had supported him and still wanted to have rallies, et cetera. So we never stopped, and what we did from that day is we said, let's make sure we have the greatest ground game in political history, which is where we are right now with 2 million volunteers. And it's so important. I mean, you saw that it wasn't long ago, it was like a year ago, that the Democratic Party was basically defunct. They had no money. They had, I mean, nobody really running the ship over there. So if you think they have any ground game, they do not. We have it at the Republican Party, support for President Trump. It is through the roof. So, I mean, we've seen it there in the video. Kimberly's been all across this country, has been seeing it. I mean, it's really historic what we're seeing happen now. And look, the media will never cover it accurately. They will never give the president credit or our campaign credit. But I really believe when history reflects back on this president and on our campaign, we are going to see how incredible and how amazing this was. I mean, it's a great time to be alive. How cool is this that we all get to live right now during this historic time? And we're look, I want to say to all of our volunteers, thank you. We can't do it without you. You make the difference. And if you want to be a volunteer, you can go to armyfortrump.com and sign up. What we know is that we can talk all day long, ladies, to people, but when somebody in your community, someone you see at the grocery store, at your kids' school, thank God kids are back in school, at church, in your neighborhood, when someone you know comes up to you and approaches you, you are much more likely to listen to them and trust them and what they have to say. So you guys at home make the difference. Please join us, armyfortrump.com. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, Laura, because it's so important. I mean, even when you look at the challenges that our country is facing, we can be confident to know that we have a leader who's going to put the best intentions towards the American people and our country So that's why you see the flotillas. That's why you see all of the events that are occurring in the midst of COVID, because there are people in this country who understand that things could have been more horrific and more tragic if there had been anybody else as president. And there's only one person that they know could bring us back to greatness, bigger and better than ever before. And ladies, we're going to leave it right there. We're going to have one more commercial break, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to The Right View. I'm Mercedes Schlapp, and this is our last segment here, and I want to get everyone's final thoughts. Katrina, let me start with you.
Okay, guys, we are in the home stretch, and the Black Voices for Trump Coalition is launching events this Friday because it's National Black Voter Day. We're going to be out there taking control of the narrative because so many voters out there, Black voters, are coming to the offices and are asking questions. And we are going to have events in North Carolina, Georgia, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Minnesota, and Florida all over the weekend. So we're just really excited. Everyone, check us out. Go to Black Voices for Trump on all of the social media accounts and see all of the good news coming out for President Trump and all of the massive support that we're receiving for Black voters across the country.
That's great. And we've made incredible inroads in the Black community. It's been so wonderful to watch. Kimberly, let me go with you.
All right. Well, this was really truly a special week. As I mentioned, incredible turnout, enthusiasm for the president in Vegas and in Reno. And Nevada was fantastic. And then the incredible, UFC fighters. We got them all to come out for POTUS, legends of the UFC. And we had Dana White and Colby Covington and Triple C and a whole bunch of guys. It was absolutely amazing. They're about as fired up as I am. I was like, okay, I met some people that could go crazy. They loved the president. It was extremely exciting. And then the Kid Rock concert for POTUS, great enthusiasm all across Wisconsin, Iowa, be in Idaho later tonight, in Arizona, and then California and North Carolina, and then I think back to DC. I don't know. It's just nonstop. But that's the point. We're also enthusiastic about the president, and it's so exciting. But, we really are hitting on all cylinders, and they still are offering nothing to the American people. We want to earn it. The president earns it every single day. And we can have all the celebrities and excitement, but guess what? It's about coming down to the effort put in by our supporters and showing up at the polls. And our viewers today, we cannot thank you enough for tuning in. But now we really need you to take the next step. And like Laura mentioned, please do go to armyfortrump.com, sign up to volunteer, knock on the doors, make the calls. Over the next 49 days, we desperately need you to get out the vote to support this country and this president. And we cannot do it without you. And we wouldn't want to be in this fight with anybody but all of you at home who love this country and great patriots. So thank you so much for what you guys are doing. It's going to make the difference. It's going to save this country, and it's going to give us 4 more years of Trump, baby.
And like I always say, I don't think Kimberly ever sleeps, but that's just my personal take on that. But you're just nonstop, and we thank you for all the great work you're doing. And you're right, Kimberly, it's all about that voting. It's we've seen, for example, the Nevada rally at that event, that it was 20% of those people who attended that event didn't even vote in 2016. Just think about it. They weren't even registered to vote. So it's getting those people out there that maybe didn't vote in 2016 to come on board, come on the Trump train, and let's make it happen. But we need you all out there to find those people, get them to the polls. Because let me tell you, we don't want close margins. We want big voter margins with the president.
That's right.
And Laura, you've got a great final thought. What did you learn today?
Yeah, so I would like to play a quick video clip for everybody and discuss it afterwards. Take a look at this, folks.
A Harris administration together with Joe Biden.
So that is Kamala Harris confirming what we all basically knew. If there was any question as to whether Joe Biden would actually be the president of the United States should, God forbid, he get elected. Folks, you heard it there. The Harris administration.
Unbelievable.
With Joe Biden, kind of as an afterthought. This is what they've been telling us, though, guys. It has always been about Kamala Harris becoming the president. They laid it out for you there. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. I was so shocked when I heard this. I heard it like earlier on TV, and I was like, wait a minute, let me hear that again. Had to rewind my television. Unbelievable. But
Freudian slip, perhaps, or just the truth?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, the whole thing is crazy. So knowing that she is the most far left voting senator in the Senate right now, even farther left than Bernie Sanders, the self-proclaimed socialist, should scare everyone to death that she's talking about the Harris administration. I don't think so. I don't know if she knows how politics work, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, frightening, but all the more reason we need to stay motivated. And I love the stats. I love hearing about all the new voters we have coming. But folks, we do have to win by such an overwhelming margin of victory here that they cannot dispute the results of this election. It is so important. I learned a long time ago, you play every second of the game until the game is over, like you are behind, even if you feel like you're ahead. And so that's what we're doing at the Trump campaign, and that's what you have to do at home. So it's more important now than ever. Can't say that enough.
And remember, the liberal media will try to stop Donald Trump. These crazy Democrats are going to try to stop Donald Trump. And the Harris administration is going to try to stop Donald Trump. So we've got to stop them and push back. And it's really why President Trump is the man that's standing strong against all these individuals and groups that can't stand the president, because they know he's been a success for our nation and always fighting for American families and American workers. So we want to give you all a huge thank you for our patriots at home for tuning in. We will see you all next time as we continue to fight to re-elect President Donald J. Trump. God bless you all, and God bless this great country. Thanks so much.